Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists episode 603. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk movies, movie lists, and movie session for the next hour or so. But before getting to movies, I want to talk about something I did today, which I haven't done in like 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Galen's birthday was this past weekend. He turned 8. And we asked him where he wanted to have his birthday party. And his summer school took him to laser tag for the first time.
Okay.
So we had his birthday party at laser tag, Zach specifically at Ultrazone.
Wow, Ultrazone is still there.
Ultrazone is still there.
Awesome.
And had a laser tag birthday party. And I got to play the games with the kids. And it was super fun.
Nice. Did you win?
Yes, I definitely scored the most points.
Were you running around covering your sensor?
No, I paid attention to the briefing. Here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
The real way to score points in laser tag is they have all these hockey puck sensors like on walls and ceilings. And if you shoot those, as long as those are active for you or your team, they generate points. So like I would just find every sensor I could and shoot them. And then they were all just giving me constant points throughout the game to my player.
So it's better to aim for the sensors than to try to chase down other players.
Oh, yeah. Chasing down players is way too much work.
Sure.
Yeah. No. So, of course, I had to gamify laser tag to figure out the best way to win.
Sure. Well, that's like
Yeah, because you couldn't let an 8-year-old win.
No, I could not let it. Okay, Zach, Gene was there too. So it was more I couldn't let Gene win.
Sure.
Was he on the opposite team?
Most of the time, yes.
That's like at Universal, they have this dark ride based on Men in Black where you like
Okay.
sit in a pod and go from one room to another. And they give you a gun and you're just firing aliens. And then they give you a score. And at the end, they put everybody's score on the board.
Right.
And we discovered that it gives you points if you hit a target, but it also gives you a point every time you pull the trigger. And so we would go on that ride and just take our fingers and like as fast as hard as we could for like 3.5 minutes while the ride was going and get like 8 times what everybody else got just because we didn't even aim.
You're just mashing the
We
trigger.
just pulled the trigger. And
Right.
it's like after doing that many times over, we were like, this is kind of ruining it for us. But, you know, we were always number one.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
No, it's the point is to win.
Right.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
it was fun playing laser tag. It was fun going back to Ultrazone, a place I used to go to like in high school and middle school.
Sure.
The arena hadn't really changed at all, but the lobby was way nicer. Like I was expecting to find this place looking like with like 30 years of grime on it. And they had like modernized the lobby and made a nice party room, and I was quite impressed.
At what point do you guys graduate to paintball?
Ooh, I would say high school probably. I think he's still a little young for all
Sure.
of that.
Probably. 8's probably a little young.
Yeah.
Although it, you know, that's a good life lesson. Paintball.
No, I'm like, there were 8-year-olds who were frustrated about being shot by lasers. I can only imagine like being pegged by paintballs. That's not going to go over well whatsoever.
Sure.
So,
Paintball in Wisconsin's a lot, I feel like, more forgiving because, you know, it's colder and so you can wear layers. And so getting hit isn't nearly as painful as down here in Florida.
if you're playing in the fall or something like that. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I had a paintball phase like right out of high school when we went and played a lot. And it didn't matter how hot it was sweatshirts and jeans.
Right.
It was amazing how much. Yeah, it was amazing how much it would stop sweatshirts and jeans for sure.
I do have a paintball story involving Zach.
Oh, really? You guys
yeah.
played paintball against each other?
Multiple times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear
we
it.
played in high school a couple of times, and we played after I got engaged. Like I got a bunch of like gift certificates to paintball places, like trying to get you to go for bachelor parties. So it was like Zach and I would go check them out and play paintball on these cheap passes. But one of the times
You
we
were
played in
bachelors.
Huh?
You were bachelors.
Yeah, I mean, I was engaged, but we definitely were checking it out. So, but one of the times we played in high school, like between games, they have a rule where you have to like put the plug into your gun, right? And you're not supposed to point the gun at people or pull the triggers or anything like that. And Zach, in his infinite wisdom between games, was like messing around, and he pointed the gun at me and like pretended to pull the trigger, like got you, but really did, and the plug wasn't in, and he was super close. A paintball shot out, and it just like went straight down my pinky and just like split the skin the entire way down.
Do you remember
I was
this,
like,
Zach?
Zach? He's like, oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Do you remember this,
Oh,
Zach?
I have no memory of this whatsoever.
Okay, I have very vivid memory of
It
this.
does sound like he's complaining 20 years later of getting hit by a paintball while playing paintball.
Yeah, no.
But, you know.
Getting hit by a paintball after the game was over, when they were like, all right, put the plug in and stop, don't screw around. And of course, Zach having to screw around. Yeah. So no, if the story was like I was playing paintball and Zach shot me, yes, I see what you're saying. But the circumstances of the injury were not during an active game of paintball.
Sounds like it was active.
Likely story.
Well, to you, it was active. To everyone else, we were.
I thought you were a Boy Scout.
Yeah, I'm still human.
You got to be always prepared.
For you, yes, being always prepared for you
Well,
was something I had to do.
Kyle, I feel awful.
I can tell you do.
No, I do, and I'm sorry.
you weren't very sorry 20 years ago.
The apology comes 20 years later.
Or 23 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Speaking of apologies, welcome to the podcast. This is episode 603. We're going to talk Flora and Son, which is a new movie that's out on Apple Plus. Before we jump into that and our top 10 movie moms, we need to remind you there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go check it out there, youtube.com/@ the @ symbol Cinereelists. Also follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. Get extra after show audio as well as other Cinereelist swag for supporting the podcast. Leave us an Apple Podcast review. That one's free, 5 stars only. We'd appreciate it. Also, you can send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com with a comment, question, list suggestion, movie suggestion, any of those kinds of things. Or just send us whatever you want to heyguys@cinereelists.com. You guys ready to talk Flora and Son?
I am.
But first, I want to shout out to New Hampshire. Area code 603. This episode's for you.
Okay.
Man.
We've never dedicated an episode before, I don't think. So
Yeah.
it's a
Is
first.
that all of New Hampshire's one area code?
Yes.
That's cute.
Yeah.
603 episodes, never dedicated one, but now New Hampshire gets the honor.
They do.
I cannot wait to see who we dedicate to next week.
All right, let's get into it. Flora and Son. Here's a clip.
Maybe we could call it home.
So now it just needs a killer bridge.
What's a bridge?
Bridge change for 8 bars after the second chorus.
Okay. Sounds amazing.
That's better, right?
Yeah, it actually works.
I really struggled with that song.
It's very intimate, isn't it? Singing together like that. It's a bit like, we just made love or something.
No, it's not like that.
In a way, though. I do feel a little bit naked right now. I think music is all about romance.
That was Flora and Son, a 2023 musical comedy drama written and directed by John Carney. This movie stars Eve Hewson, Jack Rayner, Orrin Kinlan, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Flora and Son is: follows Flora, a single mom who is at war with her son, Max. Trying to find a hobby for Max, she rescues a guitar from a dumpster and finds that one person's trash can be a family's salvation. Sure. Okay. I mean, that's kind of.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, that's
it's the
part of
setup.
the
It's
plot,
not the
right?
plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the setup, not the plot, I would say. Also, I wouldn't say she's at war with her son. Like, that reminds me of like Rushmore or something like that, where like the movie is about them being at war. I don't think it's really about that, but
No, she's just dealing with a rebellious teenager.
right. Yeah, I would say.
I mean, they have a terrible relationship.
right, but
Right.
they're not doing things to hurt each other.
Like, he's still there at the house. It's not like he's just leaving.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem with it if that was half of what they've told you about this movie, when that's really not the movie, I would say. Anyway, Flora and Son, a movie we've seen, a movie we picked, which this was really Zach's pick, I would say, or he's the one that proposed it, because of the director, John Carney. Why do you love John Carney so much, Zach, before we get into the movie?
Well, first of all, he made Once, which is a movie I absolutely fell in love with. And then he made Sing Street, which is another movie I fell in love with. And basically, he's just able to make very character-driven, simple, but like kind of meaningful movies that have lots of great music. And he kind of has his niche, and it's something that always really speaks to me. So anytime he makes something, I'm excited.
Nice. What do you guys think of Flora and Son? Do you want to go first, Zach, since you have
Yeah, well, first of all, I just noticed the poster, and I was aware of the poster before, but now I'm looking at it, and the son's profile makes up the headphone cup of her headphones. And I really hate that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
I have looked at this poster a couple times, and I did not comprehend that.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
really don't like that
cool
choice.
or dumb?
dumb.
I think it's
think
kind of dumb.
I think it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's just subtle enough that I don't think most people would see it. And when they do, I don't think they'd be like, oh, that's clever. I think they'd be like, weird.
It's because the headphones are like these 2D hot pink things like added to this profile picture of her.
Yeah, I mean,
I
they
don't
should
know,
have
but-
just used a normal photo of her son. Made that.
They should have just been his head on top of her head. I think would have been
Right.
much better use. Yeah.
Yeah, so this movie I liked. I didn't love it. I thought it was pretty like simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed it. It kind of set up characters that you don't like very much at first.
Mhm.
And so it had to do two jobs. It had to repair the relationship in the movie, have a plot, but it also had to like endear you to them yourself. And I think it did that. By the end of the movie, I liked all of these characters more than I did at the start of the movie. And I'm sure that's intentional, but I enjoyed that process. And I thought there was some good music in it. Nothing like amazing, but there's some good music in it and some good performances. And yeah, I liked it. What do you guys think?
So, do you guys know that Eve Hewson, who's the main actress, Flora, she has a famous father?
Very famous father.
Very famous father. So, Zach, you know.
I didn't
Yeah.
know this. Who's her
Okay.
father?
Well, I'll say
Any
her
guesses?
her father is Irish. Her father is also a musician. Her father only goes by a single name.
What?
You
Edge?
two should know this, James.
The Edge?
More famous than The Edge.
Yeah. Who is the other famous one from that band that goes by a single name?
Bono?
Bono.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. But Bono's last name is Hewson, or is that like her?
That's her mom.
No, that's his
mom
real
is
name.
Allie Hewson.
His actual name is Hewson. His name is super boring. It's something Hewson. I went
Okay.
down a whole rabbit hole
Paul
about
David Hewson.
about why he's called Bono and why the Edge is called the Edge. And they were
Okay.
in like an artist street gang in the 70s. And they gave them all like each one of them had cool names. So like Bono, I think Bono was like Bono Vox or something like that. That was his artist street gang name, and they called the Edge because his face was super angular. So
Sure.
yeah. Anyway, Do you guys ever see Bad Sisters, the TV show on Apple TV?
No.
So Eve Hewson's in that. It's about 5 sisters in Ireland. One of them is married to a man that the other 4 completely hate. So they plot to kill the husband of the sister. The 4 of them do. And she plays kind of the young sister who can't really figure her life out of the family. And I thought she was pretty great in that. So if you liked her, I would check out Bad Sisters. It's also got Sharon Hogan, who was in Catastrophe. You guys ever watch that show?
No,
Oh,
No.
man. You guys are missing out on your Irish humor over here.
I guess.
Dairy Girls,
Do you-
anyone?
We have
Do you
seen
have a
her
review
in
of this particular movie?
We have seen her in Bridge of Spies, and she was also in that Robin Hood movie from 2018, Zach.
Oh,
really?
was she?
Yeah. So
Wow.
we've seen her in other things, but none that where they put her front and center, I would say. Like this.
Yeah, I
movie
would say
does.
Bad Sisters was the first time I recognized her as a person, and then obviously this. Anyway, okay, that's a little of a tangent. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was cute and charming. I'm not as in love with John Carney as Zach is, but I do find each one of his movies gives me at least one song that is catchy and stays with me, whether that be like the main scene from Once where the couple is kind of composing a song together in the music store, or in Sing Street, it was like Drive Like You Stole It or something like that.
Mhm.
Like that's a song I still can hear in my head. And in this movie, even 24 hours later, I can't tell you any of the songs. Like I think the Joni Mitchell song stood out to be the most, and that was not an original song for this movie at all.
Mhm.
But I liked the idea of it, of this mom trying to connect with her son through music. I think the movie took a while to actually get there. I wasn't sure what this movie was about at first. It just seemed to be sort of just about people doing their thing, and then eventually you find this connection between the mom and the son through music, which I was also surprised. I didn't think the son was into music, like creating it. Like all of a sudden you get this scene and he's creating this like whole rap song in his room. And that seemed a little out of left field, but at least kind of brought together sort of the main part of the story. And it was interesting that JGL was through a screen through most of this movie.
Mhm.
Like we were watching on a laptop.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciated when they went a little poetic and would like have him be there in person, quote unquote, just so you weren't watching him like through a laptop. Because there were some shots where it seemed like it was a minute of just the camera on a laptop screen as JGL was talking.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, this is an interesting choice, just to shoot a laptop screen for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird. I mean, who would watch a Zoom call for a minute? You know, who would do that?
Well, no, but like that's just called my regular boring life. So
Sure.
when I want to take in a movie, I don't need just my regular boring life of staring at a screen at a window for a while. That's what I do at my job all the time. So
Sure. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, who would go on YouTube and click a video and watch like a Zoom screen for like 2 hours?
yeah. By the way, youtube.com/@Cinereelists.
Right.
Check us out. Yeah, so I think I enjoyed this movie. Wasn't blown away and didn't find like the music super memorable, but nothing really complaining about it.
Yeah, I think that's my issue with it, is that I don't have any complaints. Like the movie didn't do anything or didn't take enough risks maybe for me to be able to complain about it, or not or like give it props for like taking a risk and pulling it off type of thing. It just felt very like right down the middle to me.
Yeah.
And JGL, like, he gave me creep vibes, I would say, at times. And
Like you think this wasn't the first time he like got interested in a student over Zoom?
no, it was more
Okay.
like I don't know. It just they set up his character to be kind of like this airhead Californian guy who like was a failed musician but didn't want to really talk about that, or like it didn't seem to be affected by it in any way. And maybe he's just a casual guy that doesn't really worry about much in life. I don't know. It just felt like when given the opportunity to flesh him out a little more, they didn't. They
Yeah.
just kind of, he was the foil in a weird way. The big star foil, I would say. big Hollywood star. I was far more interested in like the triangle between the mother Flora and the son and Jack Rayner, and like why their relationship didn't survive or whatever. Like before the movie started, they gave us a few moments where they were fighting, but they're still friendly with each other,
Mhm.
even though they're not together. And I kept waiting for them to bring him back in and for there to be more inciting incidences or like a disagreement over the parenting of the son or just something more for me to chew on as opposed to like the romance that results in her reconnecting with people. And yeah, it was all very nice. I think you can maybe one of the attractions of John Carney is like in the 4 movies I've seen that he's directed, they're all very nice. They're a varying quality above and below nice to me. But this one's definitely like right in the middle of nice. As opposed to like Once, which is a little higher for me, and Sing Street, which is a fun, positive watch that's really good, in my opinion. So I'm not disappointed in it, but I also will not remember this movie in the long run, for sure.
Oh, interesting.
When we do Forgotten
There's
Films
this-
of 2023, this will be on your list.
No, probably.
There's kind of like this common formula that movies take, right? Where the stakes ratchet up and then there's a central conflict at the end, maybe some misunderstanding or something, and then they work it out, kind of a thing. And this movie, and I think all of John Carney's movies, the stakes are always way lower
Mhm.
and way more personal. Like character driven, but like not like plot driven necessarily. And there's not some big misunderstanding that they like resolve in the last 10 minutes or something like that. It's just kind of we see how their relationship progresses and changes and you know always in a kind of poignant way, I guess,
Mhm.
in his films. And I guess I just find that refreshing that to me it doesn't seem like it's his formula, but it's not like movies formula, you know? Whereas like other movies, you know, the romance relationship would have ended differently. There would have been more conflict and like a big screaming match and stuff like that with the parents and like I feel like more would have happened and more would have been resolved. And like this just felt maybe more on a like a realistic scale than some dramas of this type would be from another director.
Yeah,
And I appreciate that.
I mean, I think in general, movies live in a heightened world where people react in certain ways to situations to create drama.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's more realistic in the relationship kind of ways, but it makes up for that in like just how everybody is extremely musically gifted and can make like a perfect pop song on their laptop the first time out and stuff like that. That I was just kind of like, okay.
In that last scene, JGL definitely had sound from musicians turned on for his Zoom call at that concert.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the other thing too. Like, it's one thing to have JGL strumming on the guitar, but they had the drummer in LA and they're in Ireland. The drummer keeps time for the band. You're telling me they did that over Zoom in front of a live audience and was able to follow a drummer.
Well, it
Why
was
would
hard to
that
tell,
work?
James. They all had flesh-colored monitors in.
No, hold on. Why would that not work though?
Because
Time
we
delay.
can sometimes not have a conversation over Zoom. Try playing live music over Zoom together. You know what I mean? And trying to make it sound synced up.
Yeah, I mean, don't you follow the drummer rather than the drummer following them, just at a basic level?
Yeah,
Right, but you can't follow them if you're a half a second to a second behind every time.
well, no.
So why don't you catch up?
it would be? It doesn't work that way.
Because the delay changes over time.
It would be one thing if the drummer was remote and the rest of the band was live and they were all reacting to the drummer through Zoom. That doesn't matter if the drummer's a second off or not. It doesn't matter the delay because the rest of the band's they're just playing to the delay. But in this case, you had a couple musicians on the Zoom and a couple musicians live. So JGL is playing to the drummer on Zoom, but then, just playing in the same room as the drummer. So he's playing to the drummer live, but then the rest of the band is playing to then that possible delay on Zoom. And it just seems to be
It still doesn't make sense to me because JGL would be in sync with the drummer because he's live with him. And then no matter how delayed it is, whenever it actually plays in Ireland, then they all match the drummer and they'll be live with JGL and the drummer at the same time.
Then, yeah, I guess there's no way then for JGL to react to the band in Ireland. Because,
correct. Yeah, that would be the problem.
Yes, that would be, yes. So you're right. He just has to trust that I'm strum my chords out here and they can't go anything off white here.
But he's not doing jazz. He's playing a pretty simple part over there.
Sure.
I wasn't even sure what he was adding to that song. I didn't hear any electric guitar in that final song.
Maybe it does work logistically unless you had 3 people on Zoom and there was no live element. You know what I mean?
Oh, if everyone was playing their own part on Zoom.
Oh yeah, that would not work for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe that part was realistic then. I take it back.
I mean, I think what was most realistic though was the incredible sound they were getting from that laptop of that live drum and guitar.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Over Zoom too, of all things. So.
All right.
Was Jack Rayner in Midsommar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Every time he was on screen, I just kept looking at his face and something bad's gonna happen to this guy. And I think it's because he's in Midsommar where something bad does happen to that guy. And that movie imprinted on me so much that every time I see Jack Rayner's face, I got unsettled every time he was on screen. Not because of anything he was doing in the movie, but I think his presence just brought me back to Midsommar feels.
Sure.
It was very strange. I was just watching him he's going to get hurt and I can't figure out why. Where have I seen this guy before?
You've seen him in a couple things. I mean, he was the guy in Sing Street. He's the brother in Sing Street.
That I knew. He was the older brother in Sing Street. I know I've seen him before, but I had this very specific, I saw him in a movie or something, or he reminds me of someone who got hurt in a movie. And Midsommar is it. So
I like him a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean, he wasn't, I don't think he was as memorable in this one as he was in Sing Street. Definitely in Sing Street, he was a standout character as the older brother.
I was also surprised at how chaotic and messy they had the main character be, the mom, Flora.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so rare that you see someone that's as messy as she is as your protagonist.
Yeah.
Her character in Bad Sisters was very similar, was also the chaotic, messy one of the family. So it's weird to see her playing the same character more or less twice now.
Okay.
Sure. If you need more Jack Rayner, What Richard Did is a good early movie of his.
Does he get harmed in that movie?
No.
Okay.
Directed by Lenny Abramson, who directed Room. So it's him in the Room director. And it's a hard watch, but it's good. It's about a guy who I forget the setup, but he accidentally kills somebody. Legitimately, he didn't mean to. And what happens to a person who is not a murderer but accidentally does something, and then how does that affect them for the rest of their life, type of thing. And he's really young. He's 18 when he does it. And it's really intense but really good.
All right.
I think that was a listener recommendation at one point too, which is why I watched it. But
I see it in a list of 2010 teen movies.
I mean, technically, yes.
They are teenagers, so.
Right. Anything else with Flora and Son? I wish I had more to say about it, to be honest, because that would mean there was more to chew on. But I think it's a pretty straightforward movie.
I thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt was the weakest part of the film.
Yeah,
he seemed like he was acting rather than just being a real person.
He really Julianne Moored it for you, didn't he?
Well, he didn't. Yeah, maybe he did, actually. Now that I think about it.
How many days do you think they had Joseph Gordon-Levitt for this movie? A week, maybe?
No, because he had on set like stuff in multiple locations, so I'm guessing 2 weeks.
Okay.
I bet John Carney shoots real quick.
Yeah. They do call him One Take Johnny, so.
He probably could have done his Zoom stuff in one day, and both of the times he's in the room with her on another day. Because one was on that rooftop and one was in a park. You could do that in one day.
Yeah, I don't think
Yes,
I don't think he did
could.
2 weeks
There's-
on this movie.
Yeah. I think he did a week at most. And half of that was sitting in a trailer, probably. This kind of gave me like pandemic movie vibes too.
Because of the Zoom?
The Zoom probably doesn't help it, but
Okay.
like the small amount of people, there weren't too many crowd shots or anything like that. If there was, like, there's the party scene that's very brief where there's a bunch of people in a small room. For the most part, you have characters talking outside if there's a bunch of people. And also it's just a small script compared to Sing Street,
Mhm.
or at least it felt smaller. And so I don't know, it just felt like somebody who wanted to put something in production quickly and would be easy to have a small crew on. You know, it was I mean, once you could say the same thing, and that was like pre-pandemic, but maybe it's just his types of movies. But anyway,
You know,
What do you
I
want?
did notice Flora and her son were always 6 feet apart in this movie.
they really were.
Yeah.
What do you want from John Carney? Like, I kind of like, we're 4 movies in on these things. I love Sing Street. I wouldn't mind if he did another one like that, but like, I kind of want to see him do something new. I don't know.
I mean, so a lot of times these directors make really cool indie small films, and then they're given like a Marvel movie or something, or Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not interested in that. I don't care
Sure.
what his Marvel movie looks like. I want him to just keep. I don't know. I like what he's giving me. I'm fine if he just does this forever.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine if he does this forever, but like, I think it would be cool if he got like a, I don't know, like a legitimate star who's not an actor and like does a movie, like a biopic, but like with his flair type of thing. I'd be interested in that.
You want like a Rocket
Give me more
Man
of that,
from
like
him?
a star that's not an actor.
Like
What do you mean?
like Eminem with 8 Mile. I'm not saying I want John Carney to direct 8 Mile, but that was an example of like a star or a musician who
Oh,
a
like
role
musician.
was written for them that they could do. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
music was
an-
integrated. And
Well, I think Ed Sheeran would be the natural next choice for that.
I'm not watching an Ed Sheeran movie.
Well, that's what you're asking for. That's
That's-
exactly what you're asking for.
It's what I am asking for, but not Ed Sheeran. I don't want Ed Sheeran. No.
It's got to be someone Irish, though. Doesn't he always deal with Irish actors in the Irish world? In Ireland?
Does he always?
Well, once was
No.
Ireland, wasn't it?
Yeah, once was Ireland.
Sing
but,
Street was Ireland.
Specifically Dublin.
Dublin, yeah.
But Begin Again wasn't.
Okay.
That was Mark Ruffalo and
Yeah. Noted Irish actor Mark Ruffalo.
Yes. He's very Irish.
Yeah. He really is the Liam Neeson of Mark Ruffalo's.
If he did an Amy Winehouse biopic, I would love that. I think that'd be great.
with Amy Winehouse.
No, obviously she's not available, but find somebody who looks like her who can sing the part. Or at least do a decent
So
impersonation.
you really want him to do a biopic of like a famous person.
I want him to do something with like a little more darkness,
Ooh.
but also
James.
musicality that can be light at moments. You know what I mean? And something that, just something that has a little more bite to it, but also can be like celebratory in the ways that he can be with the music in these.
Okay, James, I think I know the movie you want.
Okay.
You want the 8 Mile Treatment with Miley Cyrus, directed by John Carney.
I would
Oh.
totally watch that.
See,
No.
that's what James wants. Zach doesn't want that. He's shaking his head, but
Stay away from John Carney.
James wants-
Why?
James wants Miley Cyrus, John Carney, 8 Mile style.
Miley
want to
Cyrus
sell
has an
out.
interesting story to tell. I would
Great
say.
You
singer
want him
too.
to sell out. Here's the thing: all of his movies have
Sell out. You're not
original
selling out.
music.
If you do a Miley Cyrus biography, you're not selling
I-
out.
I think it would lose so much charm if he only had like real songs from a particular artist. Like I think his movies always have these original songs.
No,
which,
okay.
Whether they're always interesting.
So 8 Mile is definitely like based on the life of Eminem. He's kind of playing himself, but he's not just singing like I'm the real Slim Shady and all that stuff. Like 8 Mile had an original soundtrack. So that's what you do with this Miley Cyrus movie. It is still kind of based on the life of Miley Cyrus, but you then have new songs for it.
Yeah, or like Last Days Here, I think is the Nirvana movie.
The Kurt Cobain scare quotes one. Yes.
Right. From what's the director on that?
Gus
Van Sant.
Yes.
Gus Van Sant. So that movie's not Kurt Cobain, yet it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Kurt Cobain music in it, nor do I think even the person plays music in it. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. But like, what if John Carney was to direct a movie like that where it's sort of a famous person, but not necessarily a direct biopic of somebody. And they're writing music in the style of, but not the songs type of thing. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there that I think if he is going to continue making these, pepper some spice in here every now and then. Doesn't have to all be, sugar and like working class people picking themselves up by the bootstraps. That's a very Irish perspective. I get it, but it's time to throw the mix out every now and then and try something.
I get it, James. You're tired of these original stories based on non-IP, and you want to find it like let's anchor it to a real life thing that already has existing IP.
I don't think anybody's accused Last Days Here by Gus Van Sant of being original IP.
Yeah, I mean that's just such a man. The Nirvana well has been gone to so much in the last 20 years, guys. I'm just so sick of all this Nirvana stuff coming out.
Or 8 Mile. Nobody's accused 8 Mile of being based on original IP.
8 Mile just ripped off Eminem.
There's a way to do this.
And got him to rip off himself. What the heck?
Anyway, anything else with Flora and Son? Are we done?
I got nothing else.
No.
All right.
No, but it was very easy to watch.
I
honestly
agree.
Not to go backwards, but I also thought the last song was like just lame. Like the song itself was lame. I was like, this isn't catchy. It's not.
Yeah.
It didn't feel original. I was just like, this is the big song that we've built to. And there's two dudes on a laptop playing. You know what I mean? It was like, okay.
I think I loved that the song wasn't that great and nothing that amazing happened.
Sure.
Yeah, like it's just like if it had been this incredible
Zach
song.
loved the mediocrity of everything in this movie.
What I'm saying is with the movie we had, right? And we saw the progression and their skill levels and all that kind of stuff. If then they got together and with two people on a laptop and played the song and it was incredible, that one might have been nice on a visceral level, but like it absolutely would not have made sense.
So
this song made sense.
That song they play at the end, that was like their rework of the JGL song he played earlier in the movie, correct?
No.
Yeah, I didn't. If that's true, I didn't catch it.
Okay. That was. See, I found the music so unmemorable that I couldn't tell them all apart. Okay, so
his song was about like Topanga and well, let's meet in the middle.
But didn't she like help him rewrite it at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like here's a woman like week 2 of guitar lesson. She's like, I can rewrite this song for you.
Yeah.
Just to go out on a positive note, the high point for me for the whole movie was pretty early when he sends her the song to listen to, and she just kind of plays it and starts doing dishes.
Oh, the Joni Mitchell song.
Yeah, the Joni Mitchell song, and
Agreed.
then you can like actually see like her perspective changing without even any dialogue or people playing music on the screen. I thought that was really well done. Unfortunately, that's a pretty fleeting moment, but he can do that for sure. John Carney, with good actors, he can get moments for sure.
And great IP songs.
Yep, only with original IP though.
Yeah.
All right, Flora and Son. Let's letterbox it out of 5 stars. What are you guys gonna give it?
I'll give it
3.5.
Same 3.5.
2 3.5s. I'll give it a 3. So
Love it.
2 3.5s and a 3 for Flora and Son. Check it out.
If there was a Flowers cover, you would have given it a 3.5.
A Flowers cover? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus, Flowers.
I don't know the song.
What?
I can
Maybe I've
buy
heard
myself
it.
flowers. I can hold my own hand. I can talk to myself for hours.
Don't know
It's
it.
like one of the biggest songs of the year.
Oh, this. Okay. I know
Yeah.
the video more than the song.
You know the song.
This is like her reflecting on being a child actor, right? Basically.
Okay, so
Or like
here's
her
what
whole
I
career or whatever.
No,
here's
no,
what I
it's her
heard
breakup.
about this. Wait, go ahead, Zach.
Isn't it? It's a reaction to her breakup, right?
Yes, specifically. So it was her breakup with Liam Hemsworth,
Mm.
and he played for her the Bruno Mars song, "I Should Have Bought You Flowers, Should Have Held Your Hands." You remember that one? So then you know that song also. It's
Okay.
yeah.
You definitely know that song.
Yeah, it came out like 10 years ago. Anyway, she wrote Flowers as a reaction to that moment, also reacting to the Bruno Mars song. So that's why it's I can buy myself flowers. I can hold my own hand.
Yeah.
I can talk to myself for hours. It's the whole like, I don't need this.
It's exact lyrics. but just
Exactly.
she's doing it.
Yeah. So, but it's not she's not trying to drag Bruno Mars. I think it's more she's against dragging Liam Hemsworth, who played a Bruno Mars song for her.
So even Miley Cyrus, based on original IP, evidently.
Yeah.
She's just covering songs out here, getting #1 hits.
Yep.
Interesting. I don't like this song. This is boring.
Oh, yeah. The song that the kid wrote in Flora and Son, the one that he kind of like
Sure.
wrote for that girl, which super creepy. I was totally like, yeah, don't say it to her.
It's bad advice by the mom.
Yeah. That is not music to me. Like I was listening to that. I'm like, no, this is not
Sure.
music.
Well, it's not music made for you either.
No, and I understand that's a very like old person thing of me to say, like, oh, kids and their music this day. But like we were listening to that song, Megan and I both were like, nope, don't get it, not music, not enjoying this song.
Let's move on from Flora and Son, which is ostensibly about a mother and her son. So we decided to take up the challenge to finally put our top 10 movie moms on paper, which is something we thought we had already done, but can't find any proof of it. If you can, please send us our old lists and we'll compare them and see how different they are. But yeah, so this is movie moms. What criteria did you use for this, Kyle? What defines a mom?
Yeah, so it for me in this, what defines a mom? Well, a mother. I don't know. A mom is a person who, ostensibly usually a woman who has a child. Could be
Okay.
their child, could be a stepchild, but they have love and care for another being that they take in as their own.
Wait,
I
do
could
they
define the
have
word
to love
mother.
and care for them to be a mom?
No, so that's the other thing. I guess
Okay.
not necessarily. Yes, I say a good mom who loves and cares for them, but you do not need to love and care for your offspring to technically be called a mother.
Are you guys defining what a mom is?
That's what James asked me to do. So
How about a different question?
Look, we just had a
What is
disagreement
your-
over what the definition was, so I'm just glad we're clarifying this.
What about this? What
I mean,
what list did you make?
Top 10 movie
Is it-
moms.
Is it the best movie moms? Is it the most memorable movie moms? Like what is your list?
yeah, I would say mine are memorable movie moms
Mhm.
from movies I like, ranked by how much I like the movie, but also how much I'd maybe want to have that mom as my actual mom.
See, that list name is way too long for the title of this episode. I'm just going with top 10 movie moms, and people can figure it out as we go, I guess.
So James, what's your list?
Top 10 movie moms.
Right.
But what's
but
your criteria?
What does that mean?
Oh, my criteria was whether the mother character in the movie was interesting. For various reasons, depending on.
So your
why
number
they were
one is the most interesting movie mom.
picked. Maybe not necessarily.
Okay.
Some of them I'll
I just-
find interesting. Some of them I'll find very realistic. Some of them I'll find inspiring. Some of them
I'm just trying to figure out what a top mom means to you.
it'll change list item by list item.
Okay.
Yeah, Zach, I guess I would say overall these are memorable movie mobs with a archaic method. I had to rank them 1 through 10 based on multiple criteria.
All right. Yeah, mine, something similar. These are movie moms that I thought had a big impact. And they go from worst moms to best moms.
Okay.
I'm
So I think
sticking
Zach
with
and I have a
movie moms.
similar list. Yeah.
I'm sticking with movie moms for the title on the episode. Because
Yeah, of course. But that is just meaningless. Like, who is
Sure.
the most mom? Like, it doesn't mean anything.
How about favorite movie moms? Would you
No,
say
because
your
that's not my.
favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
sure.
But you could just do top 10 movie moms.
All
That's fine.
We're doing it. I'm going to start. My number 10.
Please.
Wendy Torrance, as
Oh.
played by Shelley Duvall in
The Shining.
The Shining from 1980. She's great in this movie. I mean, she's definitely a mom. I forget what the kid's name is.
Danny.
Danny. Yeah, and she's protecting her son and herself from her husband Jack, who's going insane at this resort hotel. I don't know what you'd call it. It's probably not a resort, but cabin.
It's a hotel in the
hotel.
mountains.
It's a
Yeah.
hotel. It's a mountain hotel. Yeah, it's The Shining. Everybody's seen The Shining, and Shelley Duvall's amazing in this movie. She's awesome, and she's a very protective mother that made an impression on me enough to make my list at number 10.
My
Nice.
number 10 is I, Tanya. And the movie mom is played by Allison Janney.
Nice.
And she's not a good movie mom, but she's a very good character. She's like a terrible mother, but it's very well acted by Allison Janney.
Mhm.
And definitely memorable and a standout from that film.
Nice. Well, I think my number 10 mom might be slightly worse than Allison Janney in I, Tanya. And this is Annie Graham, played by Toni Collette in Hereditary. This is a movie where I liked the family drama parts of this movie much more than I liked the horror elements of this. This is an Ari Aster movie, and a lot of that has to come from Toni Collette and this grieving mother she's playing, who's also dealing with her own, issues with her own mom, and a son that doesn't seem to love her, and a husband that's, just not really there, and she's unraveling throughout this movie. And it's definitely one of the most memorable mother performances I can think of, even if I have no desire to have her as my mom or live in this world.
Nice. My number 9 is Amelia Vanek, played by Essie Davis in 2014's The Babadook, which is about a little kid who just wants to be read a bedtime story by his mother. She reads the story and strange things start happening in their home, and it's hard to tell what is reality and what is imagined. And I think there's a strong motherhood angle in this, where the mother is questioning things that are happening around her and whether her kid has control over it on some level. And it's a really good horror movie. I'd put it in line with Hereditary. Not exactly the same movies, certainly, but mothers who care for their kids, but also are put in weird situations where they have to evaluate what's really going on here. So my number 9.
My number 9 is Lorraine, played by Leah Thompson in the Back to the Future movies. I don't think that she's a great mom, but she's certainly a famous movie mom and is a big part of those movies.
What do you think makes her not a great mom?
She wanted to do
she
her
does.
kid.
She tried to make out with her son.
She did not know it was her son.
Well,
She
even
still did.
unknowingly. Bad mom.
She has bad tuition, obviously. Intuition? Bad intuition.
She has bad intuition. All right. My number 9 is the previously mentioned Allison Janney in I, Tanya. She's great playing Tanya Harding's mom. I'm sure you guys remember in this movie where they showed the actual footage of the mom and then next to the footage of Allison Janney. And it's like she captured that person perfectly, even down to the parrot. Not a great mom, but a great performance. I also want to give a quick shout out also to Allison Janney in Juno. In this case, she plays the stepmom to Elliot Page's character of Juno, but I thought she was also great in that, is trying to be, a supportive stepmom through this strange time for Juno.
My number 8 is Lavana Golden in I, Tonya.
That's a
Wow.
bingo.
Wow.
I wonder if we'll have any others that are shared across all three.
I'm
of our
sure
lists.
we will.
Crazy.
I don't have much to add. Great movie. I need to rewatch it. I've only seen it that once when it first came out. So, but I enjoyed it.
My number 8 is Maureen O'Hara in The Parent Trap from 1961.
Oh, I thought about this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that she's the best mom in the scheme of things. But she's such a good actress and really great in this role. This is an iconic role, and I love this movie. So she's my number 8.
I'm going to say from here, this is kind of a weird one, but after this, all of them are moms I like. So I'm looking more at the performance in the movie. But this one, you guys can argue if this counts or not. My number 8 is Nathan Lane from The Birdcage. And can you remember why I'm choosing this?
I don't remember that movie well enough.
Okay.
I think he
Was he a
says he's the
mother?
mother, right?
Yes. So in The Birdcage, quick
Yeah.
setup, Robin Williams and Nathan Lane are two gay men in a couple. I'm not sure. They're obviously not married because it's 1996, but they live together. And Robin Williams' son is getting married. And his son is getting married to the daughter of a very conservative senator.
Mhm.
So, and the son is embarrassed by the fact that his father, Robin Williams, is gay and wants to have a nice family dinner with the actual mom, his birth mom, played by Christine Baranski. She is unable to make it to the dinner. So Nathan Lane, being this performer and the partner to Robin Williams, decides to play the mom at the dinner party. And hilarity ensues. And it's a great performance from Nathan Lane as the mother. So even though he's not the real mother, he takes on the role, and it's a really funny movie.
Nice.
Agreed. It's a classic. My number 7 is Edwina Ed McDonough, played by Holly Hunter in Raising Arizona from 1987. So hard to say if this is technically a mom, because this is a woman who steals a baby because she wants to be a mom really bad. And that's the setup for the whole movie, is her and her husband steal a baby. And, I think sometimes motherhood isn't exactly, you birth a kid. It's just
It's kidnapping a kid.
it's kidnapping. Yeah. Kidnapping can lead to motherhood. And that's the moral of Raising Arizona.
Does she end up with the baby?
No, I believe they end up in jail.
Okay.
It's been a while.
So I think that's stretching the definition, but I'll allow it.
I mean, the whole movie is based around the idea of her wanting to be a mother so bad that she steals a baby and tries to raise it as her own. And that baby's name? Arizona.
Oh, really? Is that I don't remember that movie very well. So
The title of the movie is Raising Arizona.
yeah, but I thought it doesn't take place in Arizona also.
Honestly, I don't remember.
I thought it was like Raising Hell, but instead it's Raising Arizona. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
that's
multiple
what I
meanings
thought.
to the title.
Saying that Arizona was like
Hell.
a chaotic place
Yeah.
to be in.
But
The
maybe
baby
it's,
was
'cause they
born
didn't
in
raise the
Arizona.
baby.
The baby was born in Arizona.
is it
Yes.
named Arizona?
No, but it's like the reason why they steal the baby.
No, but
No, the baby's name was Arizona. But the reason why they steal the baby is because that family had 4 babies. So they're like, they got enough. We'll just take
Got
one
enough.
of them.
I mean,
So they
that's
just take
how
one
it
of them.
works. Like once you have 4 or more, you lose track of them.
Right.
So yeah.
For sure. That's how it
Okay,
works.
but hold on. I just want to confirm with you, James. You're saying the baby's name was Arizona.
I don't know that for a fact. No.
Oh, you keep wish.
But you keep saying it. Do you know it at all, or is it just a thing that you're saying?
It's a thing I'm saying. It's a thing I'm assuming.
Okay.
So there's a couple that lived in Arizona that named their baby Arizona.
No, the quintuplets were called the Arizona twins or the Arizona quintuplets or whatever. But I'm
Okay.
pretty sure they don't name the kid and they call him Arizona.
I got you.
But
Okay.
it's been a
Okay.
while since I've seen it.
So like
Cool. Maybe it's
Nicolas
a last
Cage
name.
refers to this baby as Arizona, is what you're saying.
The two that steal the baby
Yeah, Nicolas
call
Cage and
him
Holly
Arizona.
Hunter.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Zach, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is A Christmas Story. The mom is played by Melinda Dillon. And again, I wouldn't say she's a great mom, but a super funny character in a movie that I really enjoy. And I can hear her voice in my head. And so she played a very memorable role in that film. So the mom in Christmas Story.
Nice.
Nice. Before we move on, public apology. Wasn't called Baby Arizona in Raising Arizona. Nathan Jr., evidently they called him.
All right. So besides everything Zach or James said, it's false. It's true. Whatever.
All right. Still kicking. evidently.
James, you got to wait 20 years before you offer those public apologies.
Nah,
You got to let it settle. Let the dust settle.
forget it. I'm over it. Whenever I do something wrong, I immediately apologize. No reason to keep that in.
All right. My number 7 is Marlo Moreau, played by Charlize Theron in Tully. This is a movie about a woman who is now the mother of 3 kids, including a newborn, played by Charlize Theron. So she's a bit of a, I guess you say, a middle-aged mother who's already struggling with being, not young and having kids. And then she hires a nighttime nanny named Tully, played by Mackenzie Davis, who seems to sort of change her life. And aside from this being a Charlize Theron movie, which I know I'm biased to, I thought this movie was one of the maybe like most honest and rawest takes on what it's like having a newborn child in your house. I saw this only a couple of years after Galen was born. And like it showed this woman who was like struggling with trying to raise a newborn and work full time and keep the house running and like taking on everything. And I just thought that this movie felt like it was actually written by mothers who had gone through all this and put it onto screen. So it's a movie that's always stuck with me. It's a movie that I like beyond the Charlize Theron-ness of it all.
I didn't even consider that one for my list, but it's a good pick for sure.
Yeah.
I wish I had thought. I don't know if it would have made my top 10, but it's definitely a good pick. Also, I like how that movie gives a kind of realistic representation of like your average postpartum depression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not an extreme example, but you can imagine like, your average woman who might have a light case of that would have that, but also being in the position of like not being afforded to live in that world or work through it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because she's this single mother who has to continue in ways.
I don't think she's a
Even
single
though
mom. I think she
she's-
has a husband and a family,
You're right.
but she's just
not
like,
single.
but she's just trying to do it all.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair. My number 6 is also a mom trying to do it all. This is Haley, played by Bria Venate in the Florida Project from 2017.
Oh yeah.
Great mother, complicated mother. I don't know about great mother, but complicated mother who is trying her. Is she trying her best? She is.
She's trying.
She's trying.
She's trying.
But she's also a little selfish, and so she's her own worst enemy at times, I
Yeah.
would say. She's trying to make things better, but she's also a little selfish, and so there are moments where she chooses herself over her kid. And a great movie in general, filmed here in Orlando, set in Orlando. That's a rarity as well. And yeah, as far as complicated yet endearing in a weird way, mothers. This one's near the top, The Florida Project.
Yeah, it's a great pick. My number 6 is Ellen Burstyn playing Sarah Goldfarb in Requiem for a Dream.
Oh wow.
And this is probably one of my favorite performances of all time from any movie. And it's just a heartbreaking performance. She plays a mom of a drug user, and she gets addicted to a different type of drug, like a weight loss pill, which I think is just like an amphetamine. And anyway, this performance is absolutely heartbreaking. It's incredible. And I don't know how great of a mom she is. The movie's more about how her son is a terrible son. But it's really good. So Requiem for a Dream, Ellen Burstyn.
Good pick. I thought you were going to do it with the other Ellen Burstyn mom movie.
I don't even know what that is. Do you,
The
Zach?
Exorcist.
Oh, okay. She's
My-
the mom in The Exorcist?
Yeah.
I don't really care about The Exorcist. I know a lot of people love it and like claim it's a seminal movie. I'm just like, whatever. I saw it. I didn't like it.
Well, I think if you had seen it in 1970, whatever, when it came out, you may have a different reaction than seeing it, 40 years, 50 years later when
I know plenty
horror
of
has
people.
changed.
I know plenty of people who saw it well after it was out who claim it's like a classic. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Well, it's definitely a seminal work.
I can understand its moment in history, but that doesn't mean it holds up.
Oh yeah, I didn't care for it either.
All right. Mine, 6. We're on number 6, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. My number 6 is Miranda Hillard, played by Sally Field in Mrs. Doubtfire. Because she's the actual victim of this movie. Maybe I mentioned this on the podcast before. I watched this movie recently again, and it's fun. Like, Robin Williams is great. It's a super fun movie, but I was totally on her side, Miranda Hillard's side, the entire time. Like, yeah, I can imagine being married to this character played by Robin Williams must have been terrible, especially like when you're trying to work and run a family and run a household, and he's bringing goats into the house for a birthday party. So I totally understood why she decided to leave him and get that divorce and then go run off with Pierce Brosnan. Team Miranda all the way.
Yeah,
I think
and then,
you're supposed to like agree that she had every right to do what she did.
Well, I just remember like seeing this movie as a 10-year-old and being like, oh man, why is she being so mean? Why is she keeping Danny away from her kids? Why is she, like, I just remember seeing this and just thinking she was the bad guy of the movie. And watching again, she's definitely not the bad guy. If anything, Robin Williams' character is the villain of Mrs. Doubtfire.
I mean, no joke. Like, if you took this out of like the comedy / Robin Williams having a moment, in history time, you just put the plot on paper. Like, come on.
It's psychotic.
You're not allowed to
behavior.
see your kids, so you move in and dress as the housekeeper. It's restraining order time.
Right. Like this is, you are never seeing your children again after this happens.
All right.
Yeah.
For sure. My number 5 is Mama Fratelli, played by Anne Ramsey in The Goonies.
Mm-hmm.
Another complicated mother, I would say, the leader of the Fratelli crime family. She helps break out her boy at the beginning. She clearly cares about some of her kids. And chase down the Goonies and get that gold for herself and her 2 out of 3 of her boys. But also, she dropped one, on his head and then tied him up in chains and forced him to watch TV and eat Baby Ruths and stuff. So not the best mother in the world, but certainly one that made an impression in my brain when I watched The Goonies over and over and over and over again as a particularly scary depiction of a mother.
One of our next movie nights is going to be The Goonies because Galen's obviously never seen it, but Megan's never seen it either.
Oh,
Oh wow.
I know, which I was surprised by. So
We'll see if she has the same reaction as Julie did, which was that it's a screechy movie. Wasn't that what Julie said?
I don't remember what her word for it was, but she definitely does not like the Goonies.
that
Right.
doesn't, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my number 5 is Donna Reed in It's a Wonderful Life. And she's a mother in this film. Probably her relationship with Jimmy Stewart is like more the focus of like her identity rather than her motherhood. But she is certainly the mother of their kids, and And I think that I really love her character and her performance in that film. So she's getting my number 5.
My number 5 is Kate McAllister, played by Catherine O'Hara from Home Alone. Now, arguably at the beginning of this movie, she's not a great mom. She does leave one of her kids behind. There are circumstances that explain how it all happens. So, like this movie's pretty airtight. But once she realizes that Kevin is home alone, she does anything she can to get home to him. And that she is booking planes all over this country. She's riding with polka bands. She is on a mission to get home to her child. And if that doesn't make a great mother who realizes her mistake and then does everything she can to rectify it, I don't know what does.
She could call a neighbor.
No, the phone lines are down. There was a storm the night before.
She could have called the cops and had them go check on him.
No, she did call the cops, and the cops showed up, and who was it? Kevin thought he was in trouble because Buzz said something, so he didn't answer the door. Oh no, that's because he stole the toothbrush. So he stole the toothbrush. The cops showed up, and then Kevin didn't answer. I'm telling you, Home Alone is airtight.
Sure it is.
I was watching this movie trying to punch holes into it. Why didn't they realize that they had an extra ticket? Well, at the beginning when Kevin spills milk all over the pizza, he spills milk on one of the plane tickets and they throw it away.
Sure.
They even mentioned that the dog is away at daycare, which explains the doggy door that's in the house.
So I would call the daycare and have an employee go over, or I'd call the fire department and say there's a fire at the building. If you gave me an hour, I'll come up with 100 ideas of how to reach my son faster than taking a van with John Candy.
But they were in Paris. the international fees were just alone.
Have I ever told you guys my Joe's Crab Shack story?
I don't think so.
Okay. This will be quick.
Okay.
This was a decade ago. We're at Joe's Crab Shack. My whole family is, which is a seafood place here in Orlando. And it's across the country here and there. Anyway, we're at Joe's Crab Shack, and there's a playground at Joe's Crab Shack, which was cool because there's not too many sit-down seafood restaurants where there's a playground where your kids can go crazy. So at the time, a lot of us had young kids, so we would go there and they could go play on a playground and we could sit and have adult chat at the table. Anyway, it's time to go. We all load up in the cars and drive home. And an hour or so passes and my sister realizes that she's left my nephew at Joe's Crab Shack.
Wow, an hour. How old is he?
Oh yeah, he was probably 7 or 8.
Oh, that's a scar gauge right there.
But he didn't know his address and he didn't know the phone numbers of his parents. And so at some point he was on the playground and we just assume there's 3 cars. There's 13 of us. We just all assume that he got in a car. And he didn't, obviously, and nobody was looking out for him. And he was the youngest one by probably 5 years. So all the other ones are almost teenagers, basically. And so when they realized that, they immediately called Joe's Crab Shack and they're like, yeah, he's sitting here coloring. Not a big deal. Come get him. When they get there, there's police there. And the police ask my sister and my brother-in-law a million questions.
Yeah.
They let him go with them. And then the next week, because they go back down south of South Florida, back to where they live. And within a week, there was somebody asking their kids questions at their schools, their respective schools. And somebody showed up at their front door to do a wellness check on the house to make sure that it was suitable for them to live in. And my sister was so embarrassed.
Oh my goodness, that'd be mortifying.
She was mortified that people thought that the government might think she wasn't raising her kids right because she forgot one of them at Joe's Crab Shack. So moral of the story is, when you're with your family and you're assuming that your family members are looking out for your kids, don't trust that, because none of us were looking out for her kid. For sure.
And the second moral of the story is, if something happens in your life that you're so embarrassed about, don't tell James.
Right. Don't tell your brother.
His podcast audience.
Nobody knows my sister. And she's a great mother. I wasn't telling you that because she's a bad mother. It's, bad mothering can happen to good mothers.
That's funny. Does Galen know his street address?
Yes, and he knows at least Megan's phone number.
Nice.
I don't know if he knows mine, but yeah, he knows his address. He knows his phone number.
I was gonna say Kayla knows our address.
Yeah, it's 123 Fake Street.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your
Yeah.
turn, James.
Number 4, Eva Cachadorian, played by Tilda Swinton in We Need to Talk About Kevin from 2011.
Interesting pick.
Not a particularly good mother, but definitely a memorable one, I would
A
say.
tortured mother.
Right. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I won't go into it too much, other than it's about a mom who kind of hates and resents her child, and that child from birth can feel that hatred and resentment. And what would that child turn out to be if they lived in an environment where that's all
Wait,
they
do you
felt
think it was-
their entire life?
No, you think she didn't like the baby, and so the baby turned out like the way it did?
I think it's implied in the movie, yes, that she's very
I took it-
conflicted. She's a conflicted mother.
I took it the other way in that she wanted to like the baby, but the baby was awful, and so she didn't. And the baby just continued to be awful.
There are things said in the movie that imply she did not want to be pregnant.
Right.
So that to me says it's hard to know what depictions are real and what is like her version of events. But I
Yeah.
think she didn't want to be pregnant. And they're implying that from the womb, this child felt unwanted by her because he's perfectly fine with the father. You know what I mean? He's perfectly fine around a lot of other people.
Right. I think it's more
Just
ambiguous
her.
than that. I think it's more ambiguous than that in that you can read it as the kid is just kind of psycho from birth.
He's
Like-
only psycho with her in the movie.
Right. So he's only psycho with her for birth. But
And when he does the thing he does it intentionally to hurt her and her public perception as a good mother.
totally.
Like,
Yeah.
that's said in the movie. He hates
right,
her
right.
specifically. Why?
No, again, I agree with all of that. But I'm just saying, I think the movie is more ambiguous where you don't have to read it of like, she didn't like him first, and so he didn't like her. It could have been that he just didn't like her, and that added to why she didn't like him.
No, I think the movie gives you a clear path towards she resents the child. The child catches on to this over the course of growing up and then takes revenge on her in the end. Does the absolute unimaginable in the
That
end.
baby kind of doesn't like her from the beginning.
That's what I'm saying. Like the movie it's an extreme, maybe unrealistic example of that, but I think they give you a clear path towards that playing out. It's like if you took The Omen and tried to make it as realistic as possible. That's what We Need to Talk About Kevin is.
Well, I haven't seen The Omen.
You never seen The
So,
Omen?
I haven't, no.
The Omen doesn't have that mother-daughter or mother-son dynamic, but it's just an evil kid that has no motivation to be evil. Whereas We Need to Talk About Kevin, I believe there's a motivation for the kid to be evil.
Right. Okay, my number 4 is Marketa Irgulova playing Girl in Once. And this is another John Carney film. My number 4 favorite film of all time. She is a mother from Czechoslovakia. She's immigrated to Ireland with her child, and she's just kind of struggling to make it. She's estranged from her husband, and so she's just kind of trying to do her best, taking care of her kid and make a living at the same time. And what I like about her as a mother is, again, she's just trying her best, and ultimately she makes decisions based on what's best for her child. And so like there's decisions she would much rather make personally, but she does what's best for the kid. And I think that is a sign of a good mother. And I love her performance in this movie.
Nice. My number 4 is Rosie Betzler, played by Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit's an odd movie. It's about a boy during who lives in Nazi Germany who is totally caught up in the propaganda, so much that he has an imaginary friend that's Adolf Hitler, played by Taika Waititi. And his mom is a collaborator with the Allies. And we learn that she is against the government, which he struggles with because Scarlett Johansson's character is a great mom in this movie. And what stood out to me the most about this movie were those scenes between her and her son. And I think that's what made this movie from being good to great. This is a 4.5-star movie for me. And it's the Scarlett Johansson performance as the mom that I think really drove home the emotional core of this movie.
Good pick. My number 3 is Evelyn Wang, played by Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's a recent movie. Michelle Yeoh plays the mother, and the daughter is the protagonist in the film in an emotional way and in a physical manifestation kind of way. And I not only do I just enjoy watching Michelle Yeoh go crazy on screen in a wacky movie, for sure that's part of the draw of this movie, but also just how the movie plays out the idea of a mother's expectations versus kind of the reality she's getting from her daughter, and kind of accepting that her daughter is the person that she is. And I'm reminded of the scene towards the end where, you've kind of spent 2 hours in the idea that like there's infinite possibilities when it comes to this movie and also the universe. And at the end, she's having the conversation with her daughter where she's kind of like, there's infinite possibilities, but I'm choosing to be here with you because you're the only thing I care about. And I think the mother-daughter and the way the mother learns to be loving over the course of the movie really is what puts it way over the top for me and makes it more than just martial arts and fast cuts and trophy jokes and stuff like that. Makes it truly a great film. My number 3.
My number 3 is Babe from 1995, directed by Chris Noonan. This is the pig movie on the farm. And the mom that I want to highlight is the border collie mom that adopts Babe. And I think she is a fantastic mom. She takes Babe under her wing when he's all alone. She protects him and nurtures him as one of her own. And really, that's the only thing that allows him to have the freedom to do what he does in the film. And I think she's a really great mom and very nurturing to Babe. So that's my number 3.
My number 3 is Key, played by Claire Hope Ashite in Children of Men. This is a movie we've talked about before on the podcast. It takes place in the future. It takes place only 4 years from now, actually, but 20 years from when it was made in 2006, where no children have been born on Earth in the last 20 years. Just women are no longer bearing children. There's no explanation for the reason why. And then Clive Owen is tasked with transporting this woman through this dystopian world, who is pregnant. And it's the first pregnant woman he's seen in 20 years. And what I like about her character is she's this kind of reluctant hero. Like, she's this young woman. She doesn't want to be this symbol of hope for humanity. She doesn't know who to trust because, everyone wants to take advantage of trying to figure out why she's so special. She doesn't have a special background. She's a refugee. She doesn't really know who the father is, but yet she also is this miracle in this very dire world. And I think it's just such a interesting take on the hero complex that she brings to this movie.
Nice. My number 2 is Joy, as played by Brie Larson in Room from 2015. Certainly a mother put in a position that is not enviable, I would say. Movie's about a girl who is kidnapped and then is forced to have a child with her abductor, and then raises that child in a small room, being held captive, and does the best she possibly can to protect this child from the reality of the situation. That's the first half of the movie. And then the back half is her getting out of the situation and trying to reevaluate what life is, what motherhood is, what being overprotective is versus, like a normal protective. Just all of these, she's played in this very specific world and been a mother in a very specific world, and now she's being asked to be normal, and it's just a impossible task, I would say, for most people. And I think Brie Larson is brilliant in this movie. I think it's perfectly directed. Her co-star is great, or was great at the time when he filmed this. Yeah, it's not a traditional mother telling, but like, as far as like being fiercely protective of a child, I can't imagine a worse situation for a mother to be in at the moment. I'm sure I could imagine, but I'd rather not imagine a worse situation than that. My number 2.
Great choice. My number 2 is Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music. And she's kind of like, the ideal mother in that movie, right? She's yeah, I mean, she's like the perfect mom in that film. And it's a really great movie. I love that movie. And yeah, Sound of Music. It's classic.
Do you like The Sound of Music more than Mary Poppins?
Yes.
No, I like Mary Poppins better.
Okay. Good answer, Zach.
But I would say she's not a mom in Mary Poppins.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree. She is not the mom in Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
My number 2, also Room. I really have nothing else to add to what James has to say. That's, yeah, I think you hit it perfectly on the head. She is doing the best she can in an impossible situation to protect her son from the horrors of their reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then also what happens once you have your quote unquote happy ending. Now, what do you do?
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, that's all I got.
My favorite movie mom of all time is Helen Buckham Lampkin Bowman, played by Diane Wiest in Parenthood from 1989. If you've never seen Parenthood, it's filled with mothers for sure, and fathers. It's a movie about parenthood. I think there was like a long-running TV show, right? And I think they even remade original Parenthood as a film for some streamer recently. I didn't watch it. But the original movie has tons of comedians from the time in it that is probably remembered for more than the depictions of motherhood. And I enjoy those parts of it. But one of the main reasons why I love Parenthood and why Parenthood is a top 10 movie for me is Diane Wiest in this movie. She is the mother that's divorced, who has 2 kids, one played by Martha Plimpton, who's kind of like an out of control 16, 17-year-old who has a boyfriend who's like 18 or 19. And she's trying to manage this girl and try to protect her from making a mistake that will change the rest of her life type of thing. She's kind of like, what do you do when your 16, 17-year-old daughter is dating this older guy and they're up to no good, but you can't control somebody at that age type of thing. Do you kick them out? Does that make it worse? Or do you invite the boyfriend in and try to control it from, hitting it head on? At the same time, her son, played by Leaf Phoenix at the time, aka Joaquin Phoenix, in one of his first or very early roles, is just an angsty young teenager who doesn't have a father figure in his life. And she just cannot be that for him as much as she tries. He just rejects any kind of connection with her. And she struggles throughout the movie. And you get a lot of Steve Martin being jokey and Rick Moranis being jokey. The through line through this movie, in my opinion, is this mother-children story of this typical mom who's divorced, who's not getting any help from her husband, and trying to live life and raise teenagers. It's like the most realistic depiction of that I can imagine. She's also the woman with the flashlight, if you've ever seen the movie, which is maybe the most embarrassing thing a mother could probably go through. Yeah, it's great. And the way she comes up with solving some of these issues, maybe not solving, but making them better for her daughter and son, is kind of genius. She just, instead of fighting it, decides to use the tools she has, use the traits of the people around her to the benefit of the people that she loves. And I like how her solution was to leverage the good in people as opposed to just constant battles with kids who can't be reasoned with. This is my favorite depiction of a mother in any movie ever.
I definitely see the Parenthood.
My number one, the previously mentioned on both of your lists, is Room. And I don't really have a lot to add.
That's a bingo.
Yeah, except that it's a really powerful performance and a really powerful movie, and it's great. So, Room, my number one.
My number one's the previously mentioned Evelyn Wang, played by Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And yeah, James, I agree with what you said there too. This movie is great because of all the craziness and the creativity in it. But what made this movie a top 100 movie for me, and a movie that I love, is that emotional core that Michelle Yeoh and then Stephanie Sue play as her daughter, and the struggle she has with being a mom, a wife, an immigrant, how all of that is encapsulated in that character, and then how all that is then projected onto her daughter and the choices she makes, I think is what makes this movie special and goes above and beyond everything else that makes this movie fun.
Nice. Awesome. That was our top 10 movie moms.
Do you want to hear some quick honorable mentions I had?
Sure.
Okay. Kill Bill, The Bride, played by Uma Thurman.
Okay.
In The Orphanage, a top 100 movie for me. The mom in this returns to the old orphanage that she was raised in with her own child.
Mm-hmm.
Coda, or like the parents in Coda, especially Marley Martin. Thought she was great.
I considered that one. Yeah.
Yep. The Babadook was on your list, James. I mean, I don't know if this is a great mom, but definitely Rosemary's Baby is a movie about a mom.
Sure.
Mary Poppins, not the Julie Andrews character, but the actual mom of Mary Poppins. I like that she's like a suffragette and is actually given things to do, and I think she's an interesting character.
Yeah, she gets a whole song.
Yeah. Looper, Emily Blunt is raising a troubled child. And then Terry Garr in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Whenever I think of movie moms, I just think of Terry Garr trying to find little baby Barry after he's been kidnapped by aliens. And to me, she's like the ultimate 80s movie mom.
What was the movie where the mother
I guess
has
that was
to choose?
1977. 70s movie mom, I should say.
Sure. What's the movie where the mother has to choose between her two kids?
Sophie's Choice.
Sophie's Choice.
Sophie's Choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen that movie.
You haven't?
Oh, really?
I feel like I have, but I don't. Other than the premise, I don't remember a frame of it.
Can you tell me who else is in it?
No.
Oh,
Then you haven't seen it.
It's
There's a famous actress, right?
Yeah. No, well, famous actor.
I mean, Meryl Streep. Isn't Kevin Kline's in that too, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's who I was
And then-
thinking of, Kevin Kline.
The guy, all I know was he was on, what was the Calista Flockhart lawyer show that she was on? Ally McBeal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The guy who played one of the lawyers. He's also in Sophie's Choice.
Ally McBeal.
Okay.
Another thing I haven't seen a frame of.
You've never seen Ally McBeal?
No.
I liked it.
Calista Flockhart. She plays the fiance in the Birdcage.
I doubt it aged well.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
All right. If we missed one of your favorite movie moms, maybe send it to us in an email. heyguys@cinereelists.com. I'd love to hear suggestions that maybe we overlooked that, maybe there's a movie we haven't seen that you have a suggestion for. Down for that. Also, check out the video version on YouTube. Follow us and support us on Patreon. Get extra after show audio. Leave us an Apple Podcast review or follow us on social media on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Cinereelists. Or you can follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
You can find me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaban.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Peter SKB.
Next week, we will most likely be talking the films of Wes Anderson and his most recent collection of short films on Netflix that was released this past week. So if you need to pre-watch anything, pre-watch Wes Anderson stuff, because that's probably what we're talking about next week. We'll see you guys there. Until then, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.